Absolutely. The sun has just risen here in Washington. Those storm clouds and the mist which have cloaked the building behind me these last few days have lifted. We now have visibility because 114 million people or thereabouts cast their ballots in those midterm elections. And that's a marked increase versus the 83 million who voted in the midterms in 2014. What is clear now is that one-party rule here in Washington is over. We have a younger, we have a more diverse Congress, people taking up seats in the building just behind me. Not all the votes are counted yet, but what's clear is that the Democrats have won more than the 23 seats they needed in order to win control of Congress, which, as you said, is the first time they've done that since 2011. Now, that is a blow to the President, Donald Trump, and it's going to make his job of governing that much more difficult. But there were gains. There was something for the US President to be celebrating, namely that victory in the Senate, and particularly gains in Indiana, Missouri, North Dakota, something for the US President to celebrate, and that gives him a stronger position in the Senate. And that's something he called a tremendous success. And he also pointed out it's the fifth time in 105 years that a sitting US President and his party have managed to make those sorts of gains in the Senate.
So, Tom, a great deal at stake in these elections, as you've just been telling us there. Can you talk us through some of the key results from the midterms?
Well, the results are historic. They're historic for a number of communities. There are firsts for women, for Muslims, for Native Americans, and for the LGBT community. Now, more than 100 women are going to be taking up seats in Congress just behind me. That is a historic number. I just want to point out a couple of them because two of the women taking up seats are 29 years old. The youngest of the two is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who, after a victory in New York, is taking up a seat, as is Abby Finkenauer for Iowa. So a big victory for women, notably those two rising stars. But there were disappointments, of course, for the Democrats, notably in the gubernatorial races. The rising stars Andrew Gillum in Florida, Stacey Abrams in Georgia, Beto O'Rourke in Texas will not be celebrating at this stage. But let's just remind ourselves, this is the outcome that a lot of people forecast overall. The fact that the House has been retaken by the Democrats. The Senate remains under the control of the Republicans. But what I think the surprise of the evening was the margin by which the Republicans managed to keep control of the Senate.